We fake wrestle up, shin to shin, deep half, 2 or 3 things from there. A couple of games that you can play.
Yeah.
What's up, guys? It's Wednesday and I just got home from dropping my daughter off at school. I'm about to go to training in the city at my dojo, kokushibudo.com. Come visit if you're in Manhattan. Brian Glick is teaching today and I wanted to be intentional with my training, so here are my thoughts about it before I get into the technique portion of the video, so I can kind of share that whole process with you. Me specifically recently tore my meniscus in my knee. Okay, I've always had osteoarthritis. I have things floating around there. My kneecap tracks to the side. It's a disaster in there. But an MRI has recently confirmed that I tore my meniscus, so I'm having a hard time doing my usual jiu-jitsu stuff, whether it's like open guard de la Hiva into like a wrestling up thing, because I can't really be on this knee, and certain positions when my knee is bent, it hurts. So I wanted to be intentional about my training today, and I thought maybe that a deep half might sort of give me a little bit of flexibility with my training and to give me the least amount of pain and suffering while I work out today. I wanted to kind of make this video a technical / update video where I'm kind of being a little bit more thoughtful and insightful and sharing some of my ideas in the background. Let me know if you guys like it. If you do, please put it in the comments and click the like button for the algorithm. So I'm a very much so wrestling up from bottom guard kind of a guy. I definitely do tons of open guard stuff because I want to learn jiu-jitsu. 99% of the time, if I'm doing jiu-jitsu in a jiu-jitsu room, I pull guard because I want to work on my jiu-jitsu. Obviously, wrestling up is a big part of my game because I wrestled in college. So I wanted to use this deep half knowledge that I may gain today through Glick that integrates really well with my current system. So my idea was, I wrestle up really well, so I'm going to fake wrestle up, go shin to shin, and then go into deep half right off the bat. So I want to work on that entry, some of its variations. And when I get to deep half, I want 2 or 3 things that I can sort of cycle through, right? And then you can kind of do this new ecological training approach where you're just kind of like, all right, you know, it's a new hot thing. I wanted to just say that because it may help, you know, because it's the new hype right now. You know, ecological this, ecological that, pedagogical methodologies of jiu-jitsu and grappling, etc., etc. So stay tuned. We're going to meet you at the dojo, and then we're going to ask Glick specifically, fake wrestle up, shin to shin, deep half, 2 or 3 things from there, a couple of games that you can play, how I can accelerate my training, and I'm going to give you a heads up, I've never done deep half before. I just didn't really bother to learn it. And it's kind of weird because Bernardo Fario was at my gym for like a year doing over underpass and deep half stuff, and I didn't explore with him. I don't know what it was. I mean, I did ask him a lot of questions while he was at the gym, especially his over underpass, but deep half, never really explored it. I just kind of never felt the need to for some reason, but today that's all going to change.
Shin to shin, okay? This is when you're seated. There are plenty of ways of playing when we're supine, right, on our back, like de la Hiva, reverse de la Hiva, collar sleeve, that sort of thing. But when we're seated, okay, we often favor a shin to shin position. It's very common when you're playing shin to start to look to wrestle up, okay? To get connections like this, and then start to look to rise, come up into your partner's legs here, stay low, and knock your partner down. But when you've got knee injury issues, right, it's not always possible. So how are we going to get from a shin to shin position into a half guard position that we can play that makes some sense for us? Well, you're going to go shin to shin, number 1, okay? If Loki has a grip here on the collar, I'm going to lean back, try to break it, move his arm to the inside, and then we're going to hug our partner's leg deep, elbow around the knee. Then we're going to use this grip, okay, and we're going to rock our body backwards. We're going to throw our right shoulder to the floor and we're going to lift. The goal here is to bring our partner's weight forward. We're going to get him to step and put his hands down here on the mat. Now, you have your partner's leg elevated, okay? You've got your left arm is committed. You could, again, if we had no knee issues, we could wrestle up from here. But we're going to choose as an alternative deep half guard. So how are we going to get from here to deep half? We're going to pendulum our right leg. The right leg is going to kick, and we're going to take this right arm and we're going to punch it through deep around our partner's hip, okay? Now, traditionally when you play half guard, you're facing inward with your partner. When you play deep half, you're usually facing out. So the right arm is deep around our partner's thigh. The left arm can be in a lot of different places. What I'm going to ask you to do today is take your hand and pummel it through until you can get your elbow close to your ribs. Okay, when you can do this, it's harder for your partner to get an underhook and start to threaten Kimura. Okay, so we hide our arm. Now that we're here, we're going to start lifting. We take our left foot, so you can see the left foot is still where it was. We're going to lift and we're going to do a pass off. We're going to elevate our partner's leg and we're going to pass from our left here to our right. Now we're going to extend and kick. We're going to bring our partner's leg forward and we're just going to keep turning. Now that you're here, you're going to pull your head out the back door, prop yourself up, and you're behind your partner. Okay, and we didn't have to come up putting weight on the knee. We didn't put our knee in a compromising position. Now that you're behind your partner, you can put your hand on the mat, and now you can come up, look to chase your partner's hip, put your two knees down, or if you don't want to put your two knees down, you can step your injured knee up, tilt, and start to take your partner's back. So let's watch from a different angle. We go one shin to shin, hug our partner. If he has a grip here, especially cross collar, we'll break it and bring our partner's arm forward. Then we're going to tilt everything down towards our right side, and we're going to lift, bringing our partner over us. You can see we're going from our right shoulder to our left shoulder, and our right arm is going to go through. We want to hold on to our partner's leg. The left leg is under, the right leg is over, and we're holding. Then from here, we're going to hide the inside arm. We're going to pummel it through so it goes through into this position. Now from here, we're going to switch. We're going to take our legs. You can extend your partner's leg down and do a pass off. Left leg lifts, right foot goes through. We're going to lift everything out in this direction. You can come up if you can. If you can't come up, just seat it. Okay? And now from here, we'll rise, step the leg up, and you're behind your partner. Okay? So this is one way we can go about dealing with knee issues without having to deal with knee issues. Right?
Yes.
I'm not a deep half expert in either gi or no gi.
Yes, you are, Sensei.
There are different placements, so you can. I always like having my left arm through here because it saves the trouble of dealing with an underhook. Like if you get a little lazy with the arm, or you're using your partner, bumping your partner around, and they dig this underhook, it can make life very difficult.
Yeah.
Okay, so I tend to be. You lose some measure of connection, but what you gain is the safety of no underhook. Okay, so for me, it's kind of worth it. And then you can do some stuff off of this underhook where, for instance, you take your partner's skirt and you pass off, and now you've got a really good connection here. Okay, so if you use this skirt grip to control, now you have your left arm controlling your partner's hip on the right side, and you can come back and start to grip the belt on the far side, or you can grip the jacket, or you can hold the hip on the other side. So this far connection, a lot of people use this very well. Bernardo will play this sort of position, not exactly this, but like similar. And then he'll sweep, and so he'll often sweep guys backwards like this. Mm-hmm. And then when he gets up, he's in his favorite passing position, which is used a lot in Judo Newaza, which is the over-under position. Mm-hmm. Okay, now, in this case, we don't need the left arm inside. We want the left arm over the top, all right? And then from here, we're looking to free the leg. But if you look, and this is a bit of an aside, but it's relevant, the over-under position and deep half are like kind of two sides of the same coin, right? So here's the over-under pass, okay? If Nick rolls back over his side here, look, it starts to become a deep half guard position. Okay? So there's kind of a deep, there's a sense in which the over-under pass is an inverted version, a belly down version of deep half, and vice versa. Okay? So whenever we're playing here, on the bottom to avoid the underhook, again, we like having this arm through, but you don't have to. Okay? You can hug here. If you're able to hit a reversal and come up on top, now you're directly into a passing position. And if you're able to exert pressure, you can do kind of Bernardo's version of walking the leg. You're in a very, very devastating passing position. So people make great use of this over-under. You don't see it in no-gi as much, over-under, because it's hard to get the connection. You really want to have belt grip, you want to have the lapel, you want to have the pants to be able to hold. But in the gi, if someone, I mean, you guys have all had this experience in Newaza, if someone gets that over-under position, they're pinning your hips, it can be really, really difficult to stop. So deep half, over-under pass, related. The connection is basically the same, but the position's inverted. Does that make sense here? Yeah. So we're looking at alternatives to maybe wrestle up positions or positions where we would be working from our knees when we have knee injuries, knee issues, things like that. We've already identified that half guard is one of the best places that you can do that from. There are a lot of different half guard variations. We started with a deep half, right? And its connection to over-under. But you can play a more conventional half guard position. All right, and your partner's standing up. Okay, we can come forward if he has a collar grip here. Sometimes you can take your shin to shin grip here like this, and you can double it up. Right? Why would we do this? Well, we would do this especially, we do this in no gi. You can do it in the gi as well. But what it does is it traps one of our partner's legs, okay, and it creates a situation where this leg is kind of stuck here. So he can step with his left leg, and he can start to pull that leg free, but it's very difficult to actually free the leg because we have a connection in front of the shin, or front of the ankle, and behind with our feet. So if your partner goes to just kick their leg backwards, it's hard. If they go to drive their leg forward, it's hard. All right? So if you ever feel like you're playing a shin-to-shin position, it's just not the same sort of connection, you can always double up. All right? Then from here, if Loki gets his grip, we'll strip that grip off. If it's a cross-collar grip, same thing. We have a little bit more freedom to use our two hands because we've got our partner's leg held. All right? Now, one thing that you can't stop your partner from doing is driving their knee forward. As Loki goes to drive his knee forward, that's fine. We're going to use our same grip that we looked at previously, and we're going to allow our partner to draw that leg forward, and we're simply going to take our left leg up over the top. So we're going to go left hand around our partner's knee, and we're going to take our left leg up over the top. We're going to pull our right leg forward, and we're going to drop our partner down into a more classic kind of half guard position. Okay? So we go from double shins to a position where our partner's knee is on the ground. Right now, just step this leg out a little wider here. Right now, your partner has their knee on the ground. He's probably looking to get his knee through the space, okay, to start to knee cut, okay? So when we're here, we're going to use a hamstring grip to bring our partner forward and put their hands on the mat, okay? Put this on the other side. Good, like this, okay? So now, we're in a more conventional half guard position. We got there from a little bit of a weird spot, but it's all good. Now, once you're here underneath, we're going to use a back heel method to capture our partner's leg. This is a lot like a Kosoto hook. So as Loki goes to cut his knee through the space, I'm just going to hook the left leg. Then we're going to allow him to pass the knee through, but we're going to keep control of our partner's ankle. The right arm is going to scoop, and we're going to gather our partner's leg on the far side and pull it to us. From here, we're going to take our left arm deep. You can hold the belt, okay? You can hold the skirt of the gi, and we're going to close everything off. If this looks familiar to you, it's because now when we're in the half guard, we're again in a place where we're connecting one leg to our hips, and you're using our arm to control your partner's other leg. Right? Once we're here, we can now start to tilt off balance our partner. The key to this is a back heel that pulls your partner's heel back while their knee is stuck on the floor. Okay? Now, Loki is in a bit of a dilemma. If he keeps his two hands on the floor, it's true, it's hard to sweep him, but it's relatively easy for us to threaten to go to our partner's back. So what you're going to find is that most jiu-jitsu people especially are going to throw a whizzer on. The right arm goes around the corner here. When we're here, we want to keep our ear tight to our partner. And now, as I feel Loki kind of locking down and sinking his weight back, we're not going to try to pull and bring our partner across. Instead, we're going to walk. Look how the pinky toe touches the mat, and we're going to drag our hips under our partner. And then we're just going to step and step. I don't care if Loki takes his left hand and puts it on the far side to prevent the sweep. He can do this. Stay here. We're still going to sweep. Okay, now from here, you've landed in a good top position, so don't do this. Keep the grip, step up over the top, and now from here, you can ride up into a good top position. All right. Once you're here, you're basically in an over-under. You can drive, put your knee on the floor, and start your action of passing. Okay? That was the long version. Here's the shorter version. Your partner's standing, shin to shin, strip the grip, double grips, elevate, lift, bring your partner forward. There goes the knee. We're going to step up over the top and capture. Okay? Now from here, we take a grip either around the waist or the hamstring, bring our partner forward, and hold on. As Loki's knee goes down to the mat, that's fine. We're going to back heel with the left leg. You see how we're scissoring, pulling everything in? You can also lock a triangle here. We hug, and now as Loki puts the whizzer on, we're going to walk. If you try to pull, your hips are way too far outside your partner's hips to make any real progress. So if I go to pull and Loki sinks his weight back in this direction, it's going to be hard. So instead, we're going to pull our hips under, 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 and we're going to run in a circle. The left elbow's trapping his wrist, so we can't take it out. We're going to put him down on his shoulder. Now from here, we climb up, and you're ready to start to pass the guard. Very nice version of a scoop sweep. Some people call this coyote guard, that trap leg. We prefer to call lower leg shift. That's a half guard. You know, one is a little bit poetic, and one is more accurate. Tie these things together. So come put your righty down. All right, so you've built a skill of, there are a lot of entries to deep half. We did one. Okay, there are plenty. You can go into deep half from half guard. I'm going to show you guys that in a second, like a standard half guard. We have a situation where we're playing a lower leg shift. We're facing our right side. We have a situation where we're playing a deep half guard. We're facing our left side. So anytime we're working off of a situation like this where our partner is, say, performing a knee cut, you don't need your whizzer yet, just drive your right knee across, and we end up here. If your partner is working to cut their knee, step the left leg up, good, okay? If Loki is working to cut the knee this way, this is our time to start to work to control our partner using this lower leg shift, this so-called coyote guard, okay? If instead of trying to knee cut here, your partner wants to cut the knee across to the far side, like a 3/4 mount, that's your cue to move here into deep half guard, okay? If Loki cuts his knee back again to kind of knee cut, well, we're switching our body back to the other side. If he cuts his knee across to the far side again, this is our cue to come through and play deep half. So you can change sides depending on what your partner's doing, okay? Usually, once you're in one or the other, you don't, there isn't like a lot of switching, because as you felt when you're in the lower leg shift, this kind of position where your partner's knee is on the mat, if you do it well, it's hard for them to cut the knee across. But it's in the transition, look, you had to sit down, please. It's in the transition here where I might elect to knee cut here, okay, in which case he's facing this direction, or I may elect to go across into 3/4 mount, like a kind of smash pass position. And when I do that, here now, Loki's got to switch with me, all right? But you won't usually find someone going from deep half here, like walking the body back and then knee cutting. It'll happen sometimes, but not that much. So what you need to do, all right, we'll do this in the drill next, is you've got to recognize, is your partner's knee on the inside, driving like a knee cut? That's your cue to go into this tight waist half guard position. Is your partner's knee driving across, either because you're pulling it or because they're trying to go 3/4 mount? If that's the case, then you're going to go deep half guard. So you're going to drill, the idea is drilling the skill of recognizing whether your partner's knee is on one side or the other, so you can play the appropriate sort of half guard. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
So this is, yeah, this is the condition. So it's here. And I just want to do this here. That's here. And I can just come on. So you go that way. And you bring this thing up. Yeah, you got that. Go out here.
Yeah. Really. Pretty sure.
But if you get here and I can't get it out.
This is good. Your waiter sweeping out this one. I'm gonna grab here. Put it this way.
That was a weird one to try.
Yeah.
I don't have it. I don't know. Sure.
You go with your mother here,
Yeah.
right? Can I go deep at it? So,
Yeah.
direction to head, or is that how? It's a good one, not necessarily leading what we're doing now, but it's a good.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
Victory. Oh wait, for me or you? Oh wait, no, for you. You started on half guard, right? I was doing my half. And that was victory. With the. So even if you're doing another half now, yeah. Trying to get something I like. Yeah.
And I'm trying to.
Well, Sensei, thank you for all those tips. My knee's been hurting. You did the deep half stuff.
Yeah.
Any last remarks or
I think the longer you train, like my experience has been, no matter, your age or stage or, I mean, you've been to world level, training hard your whole life. It's like at some point, injuries kind of creep in. I mean, it can, hopefully it's not catastrophic injuries that like shut down your thing, but like, I have shoulder stuff, you have knee stuff, there's always something, and I think you can kind of push it out a little bit when you're like younger competitor for guys who are on sort of supplements, ultimately modulating my experience again, and this is from his physical well-being was not always like right at the front. He had a lot of injuries, knee injuries, shoulder injuries, lower back, all that stuff. So kind of watching him over the years, it's always like you have to modulate your training, and it doesn't have to be like that all the time, but having a few tactical things that you can do. So we did half guard today. I feel like that's a position where like we were doing. Like if I'm able to get some kind of connection with you here, where I'm on my back, I'm not in an athletic position, but so that means that I'm not going to be required to explode up or like try to do a lot of hard work. Because you're more stable, it's less likely that you're going to encounter something. So I think like this sort of game for us, and like playing these sort of grip fighting games, because the same stuff we did standing, we've talked about this, you can do it on the ground. Like we can engage in like a hand fighting battle, like head control and like pummeling stuff from these positions. And it's not a forever thing, because you're gonna get better, but in the meantime I think that kind of stuff is important to think about.
Sure. Hey, Nick's back is hurt now, so let's ask Nick. Let's bring the camera up. What sort of training methodologies are you using to circumvent your back stuff?
I don't know if Nick understands the word that you just used. I'm gonna translate. I'm gonna translate. Nick, how are you training with your back injury right now?
I'm doing nothing where it requires like me to have to posture out. So specifically for judo, I'm avoiding any kind of like Georgian grips. I'm playing like a lot of low lapel. Also fighting people who also play low lapel because there's no real tax on like flexion and extension of the lumbar.
When you're modifying, to Nick's kind of point, in all seriousness, you have to change what you're doing. And for a lot of us, we get into a rhythm of like doing the same stuff because it works so well. And then when you get injured, all of a sudden you've got to, not that this was your thing, but if Nick was really into playing judo, Georgian grips, and he's injured and he can't kind of be rounded like this, he has to change his whole approach. And so I think sometimes that's a thing that's like demoralizing for people because they're like, oh, like I'm at the bottom of this hill and I got to climb all up. Yeah. But you get to explore different things. We spent, Nick brought in a really good question the other week about, Flavio Canto's, Canto show. You get to look at things from a different perspective. You get to start to explore things. Maybe normally maybe a lot of your judo stuff is stand-up, and now it's going to be more Newaza focused because there's not as much of this hinging. Yeah. And so jiu-jitsu is the same. Like sometimes you got to go from left side to right side. Sometimes you don't play half guard or bottom or whatever. So it's a tough thing to do, I think. But like mindset-wise, if you can make that shift and you go, okay, well, I'm going to put my emotions about my frustration and stuff like that in check. And I'm going to look at this as a way of taking the next 3 months to do a deep dive into some other stuff. You end up better. The problem is you end up better in 6 months or a year, even if you feel like you're worse off in 3 months. True. So you got to have the vision, or you need someone to support that vision.
How many comments are going to be, Shintaro, your deep half is just atrocious? How many of those comments should I expect?
I just think that's part of the process. I think that's part of the training. That's a curriculum for you right now. Yeah. Any judo is
no, that's not true. That's not true.
Uchimata is sucky. So you get used to it.
Nick, do you have any advice to the intermediate guys out there that might be suffering from knee pain or back pain?
Just to kind of go along with what Sensei Glick said, I think it's very important to have long-term vision of your development as a grappling athlete. While it might seem in the moment when you're like approaching these new movement patterns that you haven't done so that you avoid like re-injuring yourself, you're gonna end up all the better for it, and it's gonna make you a more holistic grappler or a holistic athlete in whatever you're doing. And so just keep that in mind, and you'll eventually get better and be able to do your A game again.
And something that hasn't been said yet.
At least Nick thinks so. We're gonna find out at the end of this process if he becomes. We're gonna check back in. We'll do another check-in in like 6 months.
Yes.
And see if Nick has in fact become a more holistic grappler.
Yeah.
Or just someone who plays low lapel stand-up all the time.
That's very true. Good point. Well, thank you, Nick.